I don't have time to tell you everything that you probably want to know. I'll tell you what I want you to know. And the question I've got the most is, what were the children like? What were the children like? And the first couple of times I said, well, they're like little wild animals. And that's not really true, because they didn't have a vicious quality to them. If they were like little animals, it was like little puppies. They were just like a room full of puppies, just the noise and the energy and the constant movement. It was like trying to corral puppies. And they didn't, to me, and some of the others might not agree with this, but to me, they didn't have a bad attitude. It was more of, when you try to redirect them, it's more of like they're puzzled, like, why do you care that I'm running around this building? Why do you think that I'm not doing the right thing? It was never maliciousness. And I did see maliciousness a couple of times. It was more directed between the kids more than at us. So the kids were wonderful, and they were like little sponges for love and attention. They ate it up. And after the first day, then we all started getting random hugs from them. The first day we would hug them. The second day and the rest of the week they were hugging on us, and that was wonderful. Michelle Lott Speech and I did crafts. We taught crafts. We did pillows, and we did tambourines out of paper plates and bottle caps, and then we did shoes. We painted sneakers on the last day. And one of the things that stuck out to me, and I don't know what it means, if it means anything, first of all, I went in with this idea that they were going to come in and sit quietly, and I would tell them, okay, children, today we're going to make pillows, and first you're going to take your squares, and you're going to... It was not like that at all. They come running in the door, pushing and shoving each other and laughing and screaming, and what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? So the best you could hope for was getting maybe 3 or 4 at a time in groups and showing them the first step. You couldn't show them the whole craft, start to finish, what they were going to do. You had to just get them started one step at a time. But what struck me is, I would say, today we're going to make pillows. And they would immediately, several of them, I can't do that. And I say, I know you can't do that. I'm going to show you how. But it was sad to me in a way that they kind of had this defeat about them of, I just can't do it. You know, and then once you show them, yes, you can cut the strips, you can tie them, you can put the stuffing in, then they're like, oh, I can make a pillow. So that was really cool that they could see that. And then the last day we painted sneakers. This was really important to Sarah, that they have shoes, new shoes for school, because a lot of them didn't have good shoes. And this is kind of more Michelle's story than mine, but there were several of the kids, I think mostly the boys, that whenever we were sizing their sneakers, Michelle would look at the size on the shoes that they already had, and some of them didn't want for us to see their shoes because they were embarrassed that they were falling apart. And so that was a wonderful thing that she did. And some of the boys didn't even want to paint their sneakers. They were just so proud to have clean, white, new shoes. So that was really wonderful. And then a big blessing to me was getting to know everyone that I went with so much better. When you're in those kind of conditions, you really get to know people really well. And it was wonderful. And maybe you guys don't even know how wonderful these people are. There was no arguing, nobody got on each other's nerves. We were talking about that at the time, that we were not sick of each other at the end. I could tell you something amazing about every single person that went, and it was a true blessing to watch them embody what Jesus set forth for us as an example. They were living it. They were not talking the talk, they were walking the walk, and it was just a beautiful thing to see. And then my other biggest blessing was just watching Sarah do what Sarah does. The kids, she loves those kids, and you can see it, and they love her, and they need her. They respect her, which I think is maybe something that they don't have in other areas of their lives. You can see that they respect her. Looking at some of the kids, especially some of the older kids, as I got to know them better, I would just look at them and think about what their future held. And I could see that they really had 2 paths before them. Maybe one path is what their older brothers and sisters had taken. Maybe they were bad paths. And then there was the path that Sarah was offering. And I think if Sarah wasn't there, that path would not be an option for them at all. So I can totally get why she does it. I really can. I can understand why Lori likes to go and spend so much time. Because for the whole week, it's just been with me. And I've just have been thinking about it the whole week. What are the kids doing now? What are they doing now that camp is out? Are they eating? Are they sleeping? Yeah, and like Lisa said, it's changed me. I think it's changed all of us in maybe ways I can't exactly describe. I don't know how it's changed me, but I know that it has changed me. And I'll tell one last story. I told you I'd go quick. There was a little girl. This was probably the moment that melted my heart the most. There was a little girl named Nyasha, and she likes to come off. She's probably 10 or 11. She likes to come off as really tough and really hard. And I got to know her probably not until the second or third day, and something about her just grabbed me. And I spent a lot of time with her, and I hugged on her a lot, and I watched her with the other kids, and I told her, I knew that there was a nice kid in there somewhere. And she said, yeah, there is, but I have anger issues. And I said something like, oh, we all have anger issues. And the last day, after the closing, we did singing at the end, and it was just pandemonium. The parents were picking up the kids, and the kids were just gone. Kids that I wanted to say bye to, everybody was just leaving. And I heard Nyasha's father yell out, Nyasha! Dropped what I was doing, and I ran out to the lobby, and I grabbed her up in a big, big hug, and I told her goodbye and that I'd see her again next year. I said, you'll be this tall next year. And she said, yeah, I know. And I said, okay, well, I'll see you a little later. And I turned around, and after I had turned around, I heard her say, I love you. And I turned back around, and she was already gone. And it was just, that was probably my number one blessing. And that's all.
I brought a little bit of New York back with me, except the Bronx is up here somewhere. It didn't quite make it. Howdy, partner. That was how I was greeted multiple times during the week. And yes, I was asked to repeat things frequently. I think I'm a little hickier sounding than the rest of the group. I want to start out by thanking everyone that has prayed for us, our safe travels. The people that prayed specifically for my back, thank you. I did not come in last everywhere we went. I was in the group. I agree with Lisa. You are in survivor mode. It is hard work, and you are wet at the end of the day, totally wet with sweat. I've always felt a calling for children. God put it on my heart last year to try to go to New York when Lori went. I didn't get to go. This year, when it was brought up, it was like, oh, I'm going to be there. Had a little back surgery, kind of threw me off kilter, but because of prayers, I got to go, and I feel stronger than ever now. So, thank you. I know that was people praying, and God get me through it. Holly pretty much talked about our arts and craft experience, and she's right. They don't come in and quietly sit down and say, okay, what are we doing today? They come in pushing, shoving. They love their pillows. They were so proud of everything that they did. So proud. Those pillows, they're hugging their pillows. They're like gonna sleep on them. Their shoes. I have one story about one little boy, Yimbert. His shoes. He lovingly caressed his shoes. He did not want to decorate his shoes. He wanted them clean. And David Conley, where are you? Is he here? There he is. David Conley sat on the floor. Yimbert is in a wheelchair. He sized him up and took his shoes off and put his shoes on his feet. A lot of the kids wanted to wear their shoes immediately. Some of them had paint on them, so they had to let them dry. Some of them used the markers, so they dried immediately. But I will never forget the look on his face as he held his shoes and caressed him. I mean, there's no other word for it. He was so proud. We took pictures of Yimbert's shoes on his feet. We planted seeds the whole time we were there by loving on these children who don't get hugged daily, who don't get told that they're loved. I encourage you to continue to pray for these kids. And if you can in any way, go, because you will be changed.
First of all, I'm going to quote Terry. Sarah gets it. Ben gets it. Get it? They're just amazing. And I thought I knew what they were doing before I went there. Now I really know what they're doing. I still am amazed every day when I think about it and what she does, and she gets it. She really, really gets it. She has a wonderful heart. Amy and I were in charge of service. And our plan for the week was to plant flowers around the trees outside the apartments. There were 6 trees, 6 groups, and each group was going to plant flowers around the trees. But before we could do that, we had to clean up the trash and pull the weeds around the trees. And our second group of the day, a young man came to me and he said to me, when we told him what we were going to do, he looked at me and he said, "I don't pick up trash." He said, "My mom says that's for poor people, and we aren't poor." And I said, "Okay, Sebastian, that's fine. But by picking up trash and pulling weeds, you're going to serve God, and God appreciates when you do service for Him and do these things." And he said, "I'm not picking up trash." I said, "Okay, that's fine. If you don't pick up trash, then you don't pull weeds, then you don't get to do the rest of the things, the fun things that go with it." No more was said. We started walking. We walked 6 blocks to where, about 6 blocks, I think, something like that, to where we were going to start working. And Sebastian walked beside me the whole time. And we just talked. We talked about his family. We talked about the streets. We talked about the neighborhood. We just talked. And when we got there, we lined the kids up. Amy had the gloves for them. Sebastian was the first one in line to get the rubber gloves. He was in there and he was down. He was picking up trash. He was helping other people pick up trash. He was pulling the weeds. I mean, he was really into this. And I just stood back and thought, "Thank you, Lord." I didn't do any of this. He did. You had to have done this. Then that was the second day we were there. The third day we were there, we went on a field trip. And we had 3 different buses and different groups of kids on the buses. And I had to go get some equipment that, first of all, Sebastian was sitting in all the kids were in the little auditorium there. And we found out what bus we were on. And he walked by me and high-fived me, said we were on the same bus, which made me feel good that he at least thought about it. And then I went and I got the stuff that I needed to put on the bus, and I'm walking on, and in the middle of the bus is Sebastian standing up, waving his arms, saying, Kevin, I got a seat over here, right here." So I spent an hour on this bus trip sitting next to him and him talking to me the whole time. And this little boy has a very rough life. His father's in prison in Canada. He hasn't seen him in a long time. He gets pictures of him, and they send pictures back and forth. His mother's not always home. I didn't try to get too much information about what his mother was up to, but I believe it's him and his sister there, and he's trying to help her, and they're trying to help each other. But he told me his day and how he goes through his day, and it was just broke my heart thinking that this little boy faces this every day of his life. And every day of his life, he's getting up, he's taking care of his sister, he's going to school, he's coming home, and he has this routine that in no other way to put it is just a horrible life. And I was so blessed that I got to spend a few minutes with him, an hour with him, and we became very close. He opened up to me, he talked to me, and I got to know a lot about him. And through the whole week, we talked all the time. Every time I saw him, we were together, we talked. And there were several kids. LaDanian, Lisa was talking about Ladanian. Ladanian didn't talk to anyone for a long time. It took forever. But on the field trip, I was assigned 3 boys, and Ladanian was one of them. Ladanian he was a loner. He was off by himself. He doesn't really talk. So I spent some time just playing basketball with him, just shooting hoops with him, and got to know him, and he's just another awesome kid. He'll tell you stories that probably 75% of the stories aren't true, but it was amazing the things he told me. But still, he opened up, and I got to know him. And in closing, I just want to say that I went there not really knowing what I was going to see. I was nervous. I was scared. I left there blessed beyond belief. I cannot even describe to you the things that it did for me. And I just hope that 1/10 of what I got from that, I gave back to those kids up there, because it was so awesome. Thank you.